What's up, guys? It's Daniel from Apologetics.com, where science, reason, and Christianity meet. Today I want to talk about a post that I talked about last time, the previous video. Whenever, if you ever saw that, if you have not, go back and check in the timeline of the video feed, of the iApologia video feed. It's a video by a guy, which I'll bring you up to the top here, where Bishop Seitz, and the title of the article is "Single Issue Voting Has Corrupted Christian Political Witness." And he's kind of taking aim at those who vote because of the issue of abortion. That's what he's talking about here. If you vote for abortion, or against abortion, you are a single issue voter. And since that, then you have hurt your witness as a Christian. That's what this whole point is. Now, I already talked about a very specific part here, especially with solidarity and all this stuff over here, which I won't get into again. We talked about that before, but I want to jump in to where he kind of talks really positive about Biden, except for Biden has one problem, especially what I talked about before. Biden has one problem. That one problem is that he's not against abortion. Now, a little later, he has a few other concerns with Biden too, but pretty much he's pushing Biden really hard, even though he doesn't like his pro-abortion ideas. Now, I want to address something else that he said a little later in the article that I didn't have time to get into before. And so let's talk about that right now. But before I do, if you find this information helpful, if you find this beneficial and valuable to your life or brings value, please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel. Everybody who subscribes, everybody who likes this video, everybody who comments on this video really helps the numbers for this video. It helps more people see this video. Also, if you like it for payment, please just share it on your Facebook account. Please share it on your Twitter. I don't care, Parler, USA Live, MeWe, whatever you use for a social media platform. Also, feel free to email to people, totally fine. If you share with people, that helps me a lot. That's all I want. If you can just do that. More people who see this, the better. All right, so I want to talk about another issue from this paper that I want to just look at a little closer here, just because I think it's really important for us to analyze it, especially as we're coming into the election season, which I would really encourage everyone to vote. If you live in a swing state, your vote does matter. If you live in a state like mine, central United States, the Midwest, the state of Illinois, my vote really does not count for the federal level, i.e. for the presidency. But yours might, especially if you live in, Pennsylvania, or if you live in Florida, or if you live in Texas, which usually votes a certain way, but it's becoming more of a swing state, especially if you live in Iowa or something like that, your vote does count. And even if you live in a vote that's solidly voting for someone who's voting for good policy, your vote still counts. Mine, unfortunately, doesn't always count here, but it does count locally, which is a very important point to realize and remember. When you vote locally. Think local. We need to bring more power to the local, because those are the people who you're closer to. You can connect with those people much easier. You can talk to those local representatives at the state level, at the national level, but they're still local people. That's the reason why they have local representatives. So think locally when you go to vote. Even if you think, oh, my vote doesn't count for president, it doesn't matter. Vote for the local politicians, okay? No big deal. Vote for the good ones. Okay, so let's address some things here. He says this. Let's just jump into his article. I highlighted some stuff for this time around. If you remember the last one, I did not have it highlighted. This one, I do have it highlighted. So let's jump into here. He says this. Pope Francis, he's a Catholic, by the way, this guy. He's a bishop, which seems pretty obvious when you saw the picture before. Pope Francis has repeatedly challenged American Catholics to reframe our approach to abortion. So this is what Pope Francis has said, or whatever. I don't really put a lot of stock in Pope Francis. He's just another man in my book. He's a leader of a church, but that's fine, a denomination. But other than that, I don't really care what he says, except for the fact that he's bringing it up here, and I want to address the issues that Pope Francis said. He says this: our defense of the innocent unborn, for example, needs to be clear, firm, and passionate for the sake of dignity of human life, which is always sacred and demands love for each person, regardless of his or her stage of development. 100% agree with this. Now, something that I do agree with, but I'm concerned with the ideas that are being promoted in the second half of this paragraph. Equally sacred, however, are the lives of the poor. Yes, I agree with that. Those already born. Yep, of course. The destitute. Yep, of course. The abandoned. Yep. The underprivileged. Yep. The vulnerable, infirm. Yep. The elderly exposed to covert euthanasia. Yep, I agree with that. And victims of human trafficking. Yes, I agree with that. And new forms of slavery and every form of rejection. I don't know if anyone denies that. Yeah. Okay. So there is, well, what's being said here is, though, that you should not just only think about abortion. You should think about these other issues. Yeah, those are just basic issues. I don't have anything concerned with this, but I'm concerned with the underlying ideas that are going to be promoted here as we go along here. You'll see this. Okay. He says this, at the same time, talking about human life and, unborn and stuff like that. At the same time, we should also recognize, so this is this guy here, Steve Sky. He says, at the same time, we should also recognize that individualistic reduction of abortion to the question of so-called reproductive rights, brackets, is fundamental social issue from any common moral analysis. I agree. As it is a question of abortion carry no moral weight at all. So we need to put that, how I'm reading it, maybe you read it differently, it is a really important issue. It also displaces our attention. He says this, it also displaces our attention from society's duty to support the real economic and social needs of women, expectant mothers, and families where we are sorely lacking. Actually, it's the church that has stepped up to this plate here. My wife helps volunteer at a pregnancy center that tries to help out. I've gone there and I want to help out too, especially with, interestingly enough, and I'd encourage you too, if you have a chance, if you have one in your local community, help out. We have these fatherhood classes, which are really interesting classes. And the guy that I was watching him teach it is an amazing guy. And he was amazing thoughts that he was presenting to these young guys. I really appreciate him. I'd encourage you to go do the same thing. Help out at these types of places. Go help out at pregnancy centers. Go help at homeless missions. That's a good thing. That's what the church is there for. It's the church's responsibility. It's your responsibility. If you are a Christian, it's your responsibility. It's your church's responsibility. Period. It's not the government's responsibility. We need to make this clear. The government has a different responsibility. The government has a responsibility to pass just laws, not social just laws. Two different things here. Biblically just laws, and to promote good and defend against those who are doing evil things and punish those who do lawless things. That's the job of the government, biblically. So, the church's responsibility, your responsibility, if you're a Christian, is to help with these types of people and help them bring them on board. The government should not be doing this stuff. It's not the government's job. He goes on to say that Donald Trump, has voiced his support for the unborn. Yes, he has, and taken steps towards defending life. And he talks about the Mexico City policy. Likewise, he has taken positive steps to protect religious liberties. But then he gives some negatives about Trump. The president has also tainted the pro-life cause with the individualism and cult of wealth. What does that mean? I don't know. Is he talking about versus collectivism? Like a socialistic, collectivistic, communistic system? Is that what he's talking about here? I'm not 100% sure. If you're talking about individualistic, if I can even say that, individualism in the sense that all you think about is yourself, you're selfish, that's wrong. But being self-interested, interested in the things that you have going on in your family and in yourself, that's not wrong. Okay, think of it this way. If you are not self-interested, in the sense that you're not taking care of yourself, if you don't get a shower in the morning, if you don't get dressed, cleaned up and get dressed and shaved, if you stink, if you don't get your own food, if you don't clean up your house and mow your lawn, take care of the things that are yours, you're hurting other people. Because other people have to deal with you looking horrid, smelling horrid, and living next to someone who has a really bad looking house. It does not help the culture, it doesn't help society, which is why you are self-interested to take care of yourself. If you do not take care of yourself, you're like a baby. Someone else has to take care of you. Our job as parents are to raise kids to be good adults. And being a good adult is someone who can take care of themselves and then use that ability to take care of themselves and help other people who actually can't take care of themselves. But being self-interested is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Selfishness, though, is bad. And I was just having a conversation recently online with this woman who is pro-abortion. And why? Because she has the right to her own body, and the kid does not have the right to her body. It's her body, her right. And I, as a guy, do not having, and I should not, and I cannot tell her that it's wrong. She kept telling me this stuff. And it's like, man, seriously, what you're promoting is evil and is selfish. That's still be different. If you are pro-abortion because you want the freedom, because it's your body, no, you're selfish. That's your ethos, it's selfishness. It's all about you. That's not good. That's not a virtue. It's a vice. And that's evil. Selfishness is bad. But being self-interested or having an individual focus, like, yes, I focus on myself and the people who are close to me, that's what loving your family, loving your neighbor, loving those in your fellowship is. You're supposed to help those around you. If all of us would just in our individual networks would help those people around us, what an amazing world this would be. That's what it is. He's talking more, I think, how I'm reading him because of some other things he said. He's talking more of a collectivistic culture. Culture of wealth, same thing. Cult of wealth. Well, here's the thing. I'm not necessarily for Trump being focused on money, but he does not seem to be focused on money in the sense that he's giving a lot of money away. Interestingly enough, unlike, let's say, Biden's family, like when he's been in office all his life, a career politician, he keeps making tons of money. Like, how is he making all this money? You know, he's a politician. You know, he's not some sort of CEO, but he seems to rake in a lot of money. Same with these other politicians. They make a lot of money through speeches and stuff like that, which I'm not necessarily critical if they're actually making it legitimately. But as you know, Joe Biden's son, Hunter, has earned some money through some underhand tactics because of his dad was the vice president, and so he got a bunch of money from different people, from Russia, from China, and Ukraine, and stuff like that. So if you want to look at someone who has a cult of wealth, it's him. Also, another cult of wealth is this: anybody who promotes Marxist policies. Listen to me on this. Anyone who promotes Marxist policy is in a cult of wealth. Why? Because they are lusting after other people's wealth. They're lusting after other people's money. That is wrong. That is coveting, and that is wrong. We're not called to that. You cannot be a Marxist and be a Christian at the same time. They're incompatible. I think I said this before in my previous video, if you watch that. Greed. Again, I don't know how you can be greedy when you're giving money away. That does not make sense. Is he talking about that he's promoting a capitalistic system and that's greedy? No. If you are in a capitalistic system, it's not greed necessarily. It could be greedy, but it does not make you a greedy to promote capitalism versus a socialistic society. Socialism is actually true greed. Capitalism is not greedy intrinsically. Capitalism, you have to share, you have to do things, you have to do something to earn money. That's not greed. And if you are greedy, it takes those greedy people and forces them to do good things for you, like invest in the stock market, which is a good thing because it helps the economy grow. And celebrity, okay, yeah, the Pope has become a celebrity too, so I'm not sure why he's talking about that, but whatever. Very quick to erode solidarity and cheapen life, which I'd kind of agree. If that's all you're focused on is money, it cheapens life. And I don't know what he's talking about, erode solidarity. He keeps talking about this word solidarity. I don't know what he's talking about that. And to undermine the foundational importance of religious liberty. And he has undermined the foundational importance of religious liberty with actions like travel bans targeting Muslims. Here's the thing. This is the thing that so many people bring this point up here. He did not ban all Muslims. This is so hideous when people say stuff like this, because he did not do that. This is fake news right here. He did not ban Muslims. He banned certain countries that were allowing Muslims to come in where the country itself was a terrorist country, where it was promoting terror. That is what he did. This is where there's fake news and people believe it and people promote it and people keep spreading it. And this guy should not be doing that. That's wrong. Supported by a pagan aesthetic of self-assertion and buoyed by the destructive politics of fear and xenophobia. No. Xenophobia, politics of fear. there is real fear out there, such as critical theory, which actually you are promoting, sir. That is fearful, and also the fearful of, like, let's say BLM. BLM is a dangerous organization. Same with Antifa is a dangerous organization. It is, and same with leftist policies and critical theory, all dangerous. It's not fear to recognize that. Xenophobia. No, he's not xenophobic. That doesn't even make sense. Again, why are you lying here, sir? This is a outright lie. He's not promoting xenophobia. That doesn't even make sense. Nativism. No, he's not promoting nativism. He's promoting nationalism. That's different than nativism. If you're promoting nativism, that means that you are only promoting people who are native to the country that you're from, the area you're from, and are against those who are outsiders, like immigrants. No, we don't, in the United States, we're not against immigrants. That doesn't make sense. No, it should be legal. Of course it should be legal. You just don't want any willy-nilly terrorists coming in here. You want it to be screened and checked out before someone comes in. We don't want bad things to happen. Oh, man. And this is dangerously taxing the durability of our democratic institutions. Sorry, but we're not living in democratic institutions. At least it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be a republic institution, a subset in our democratic ideas. It is painfully ironic that one party claims to stand, and which is interesting. It's painfully ironic that one party claims to stand with the undocumented families and why undocumented? These are not undocumented. These people are illegal aliens, illegal people. They should go through the legal route to gain citizenship. That's what's appropriate. That's lawful, and it's just laws as well. It's not unjust. Undocumented families and unaccompanied children, but not the unborn. Actually, they do. They help the unaccompanied children, by the way, but not the unborn. The other claims to stand with the unborn, but not the undocumented. But the church will always define itself with that community, which stands with whoever is considered unworthy to belong. Yeah. Sorry, but again, we've covered that. All right. Then lastly, so now it comes near the end here, which you can go back and read it. Again, if you want to read it, it is, if you want to find this article, you can just go type in Bishop Steed's single issue voting has corrupted critical political witness. You can just type that in. If you want, the web address is up here, theamericanmagazine.org, politics and society, blah, 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 blah. All right, so that's it. But let me just finish up with this last section here, which I've highlighted, which I wanted to kind of point out. He goes this, talking about the bishops. He says that they have always stood against, raised their voices against the abandonment of all restraints on the economy driven by greed. Again, the greedy system is called Marxism. The greedy system is Marxism. That's the immoral system here. That's the system that takes property from one person and gives it to another person. Let me repeat that. It takes money from one person forcefully by the force of a government institution and gives it to another person. Does that make sense? While at the same time lining the pockets of the politicians. That's not a just system. That's a greedy system. A free market system would not do this. It's not driven by greed. Greedy people can be part of the system, but it's not intrinsically greedy. It's intrinsically self-interested. When you're self-interested, you're not necessarily greedy. You're concerned about taking care of yourself and your family. And by doing that, it forces you to help other people. Intrinsically, it's not greedy. Intrinsically, it helps other people. The weakening of protections of the poor and working class. I don't know what this means, like the working class, in the sense that the only thing I said before about the working class, the poor, I don't know what that means. If that's socialistic policies or what. And again, if it is socialistic policies, then no, we don't do that. To help the poor, we should encourage the family to strengthen the family and to strengthen the church, strengthen local communities, local towns, local villages, local whatever. We need to focus on the family and the local. If you really want to help the poor, get the government out of it. Get the federal and state governments out of it. It should be locally. Okay. Weakening protections for the poor. So if you want to help the poor, help the family grow. And here's how to enter the middle class. Graduate from high school. Don't have kids until you're married. Don't get married until age 21. Get a job. You have a really good chance to be in middle class if you just do those things. And by the way, stay married. Work it out. Just follow biblical ethos and you'll go a long way. The working class, the only part with the working class I'm concerned about, which I agree with him if this is what he's concerned about, is that those who are unjustly discriminated against because of their views. So I told about a person of leadership at a local college last video who in Central Illinois, who was kicked out of the college because he posted something on his wall, something to the effect of all lives matter according to Jesus Christ, or something to that effect, and he was kicked out. He was let go. That's concerning. That is concerning. Lack of access to affordable healthcare. Now, here's the thing with lack of access to affordable healthcare. The problem with healthcare today is there is a problem with healthcare. And the problem with healthcare is something that we have a fascist system for healthcare. When I say fascist system, I'm saying a corrupt, crony capitalistic system. When I'm saying that, I'm saying is that there is this high level of government control and government interaction with healthcare. And when you do that, you get a corrupt system and high prices. If you go by a free market route for the healthcare system, all of a sudden you get affordable healthcare. So if you want affordable healthcare, cut out the government's control. Limit it as much as possible. At least limit it as much as possible. Stop the greed by politicians and other people who get kickbacks. And also, socialistic healthcare does not work here. Again, socialism is immoral. It's not. Socialistic policies are not biblical policies. Socialistic policies are not biblical policies. Oppose socialistic policies. So if you're talking about socialism here, forget it. Laws that have led to over incarceration of people of color and militarize our police departments. I'm not sure. The first one, yes, it seems like there are higher numbers of black people who are incarcerated, but at the same time, there's higher numbers of men that are incarcerated as well. Like over 90% of guys are incarcerated. Like people incarcerated, about 90% of them are guys. So maybe the system is sexist as well. Or maybe there's other causes here. We should analyze the causes, not just the effects, what the results are. There's other reasons for the higher over-incarceration of people of color. Why? Well, it's the same reason why guys get incarcerated at a high... There's more guys in prison than women. There's a reason for that. If you want to stop this, one way is actually a systemic issue, which he's right here. But the main point here, if you really want to stop this, quit the welfare state to the black family. Allow the black family to be the black family. Allow them to get jobs. Allow them to get out of the system. Encourage them to get out of the system. Help them get out of the system. Stop bringing them into this hole where they have to be reliant upon the government. When they do that, the welfare state tears apart the family. It's not helping. If you want, and when it tears apart the family, the boys become crazy. The boys start doing things that are wrong. Like hurting people, killing people. They get incarcerated. They sell drugs. They get incarcerated. Stop that. Women don't have that father figure. That's a bad thing. We need to get the family together. There's so many blacks that have it all together and they have a great family and they're doing so well. And we keep pushing these certain communities of blacks down in the hole. No, let them get out. Let them get a family. Help them get a family. Stop pushing this welfare state in their face. Help them get out. Help them get on their feet. Militarize our local police. I'm not sure what that means exactly. It depends on what that means. I'm kind of against it too, especially if it's not needed. I'm not 100% sure. Unjust Iraq war. Okay. And judicial killings of innocents by drones. I don't know how many people are dying by drones. Trade deals that, and I don't know, that's Trump's doing that type of stuff. I don't know why that's a concern here. Trade deals that treat labor and the environments as collateral damage. Okay, so China. Yeah. I'm just saying China. I think you get the idea. Unacceptable delays on immigration reform. I think there's people trying to reform that. I don't know why that's... Yes, I agree there should be immigration reform, but actually if you want to help people in other countries, change the focus. Think about those other countries. Go to those other countries and help them get their countries in order. People that do that. I have people who are close to me that are in different countries or going to different countries to help out those people. Go there and help them change the system to a free market system, to a system where there's transparency in the political world, to a system where people can actually work and actually own property and do things and make things and make something of themselves and have value and become someone and become respectful and respectable to society around them. If you want to do something, that's what you want to do. For immigration reform, focus on those countries, help them become better, help them become bigger and better and stronger and more free. In short, we require moral leadership that will credibly address our country's longstanding abasement of what Reverend Martin Luther King MLK said here, the triple evils of racism, economic exploitation, and militarism. Yes and no, which I don't have time to get into that. Racism, we talked about racism last video. Check that one out. I don't have time right now. Economic exploitation depends what he means by that, like forced labor in China. Militarism, which again, it seems like there seems to be, I'm not sure what he means by that, like local, like he's talking about the drone strikes and militarization of local policemen. Is that what he's talking about there? I don't know for sure. But that ends my thoughts on this article. If you enjoy this video, please like this video. Please subscribe to this channel. Please share this on your social media platform. I'd love to have you to shout this out. I don't have a big marketing company that's doing this for me and helping share this around, and I don't have tons of money to promote this type of stuff. So the best thing to do is word of mouth. Share on Facebook, Twitter, MeWe, USA Life, Parler. It doesn't matter. Share it all over the place. Put it in groups, pages, whatever you have. Also, don't forget to like this video if I have not said that already. Subscribe, comment below. Tell me what your thoughts are. If you have any thoughts, ideas, definitely do that. And I think that's it. Except for one last thing that I always tell people: go out and give your world Christ.